So this is the larger overview of a system that we have christened as the BAAP system or the BAAP system. The BAAP is an acronym for blitzscaling, activate, administer, and proliferate. Right? What it does is, for making blitzscaling to the extent that we look at, right? Blitzscaling incidentally is a, a very fast growth of any organization, right, without taking the real principles of business growth in play initially until it reaches a certain scale where it stabilizes and then the quality aspects take over for stable growth. Right, more of that during the blitzscaling uh, related details. But for now, okay, first of all, this is not to overwhelm you as I mentioned. Now, this is a simple plug and play system, requires various systems to get integrated into whatever system you use, right? For example, you might be using a laptop for your activities or a PC. All these are more software oriented activities which will require to get integrated into the current systems. Okay, there'll be practicals for these things, so don't get worried. But let me explain it to you what this consists of, right? So, at a general principle, right, it will consist of largely using automation for sales. So it starts with activation. You look at the lower block, right, where you, as we discussed earlier, might be providing a lot of rich content out there for the assets that you create, or the assets itself, right? And you might be promulgating it into the social media and other platforms. Now that will result into creation of certain customers, right? Now those customers might come from various sources. It could be your digital asset, as I mentioned. It could be the social media. It could be through a tracking mechanism, which we'll cover in a minute, right? They might all land up as traffic onto your website, right, or your landing pages, if you will. And these could be again using your blogs, your other emails, or your webinar system, etc., etc. Right. So these are activations that are happening, which will get your customers into that particular zone of activity that you are conducting at that point of time. To repeat, the zone of activities will consist of getting traffic to your website through your blogs or vlogs. It would mean communication material like your emails, your WhatsApp, and the other telegrams or the others that you communicate with. It would mean your webinars or the seminars that you conduct, right? Or the landing pages, which could be your lead magnets, which are getting people to your webinars or directly to your websites or to your blogs or vlogs for some of the incentives that you're providing there. Okay, so that is why it's called an activation. It is not really doing anything, it's getting traffic to your system. Okay, so that traffic as an activation gets into the system hub, which controls this activity through. Right now, once that whole traffic goes to the control system, right, you use that traffic in creating your marketing campaigns because you would have kind of put in a community in place for that activities. And while you do that, you will also get people in form of leads. What is a lead? A lead is somebody who's a potential customer who want to buy the digital asset or whatever that you're trying to sell to them. Okay. Service or an asset, as I mentioned, are used interleavingly, but the larger purpose is to get the traffic to create leads. All right. You segregate the lead for the respective assets or from the potentiality of that particular lead and move it into a direction of a larger funnel, right? So the traffic is the largest funnel that comes your way. You filter it into a lead segregation exercise, And that lead segregation returns a funnel which would be the most potent people who might want to buy whatever you're selling. Okay, so that is the principle. Now, to that funnel, if you do it on a repeated cycle, right, that activity would create a proliferation. That means you grow from target 1 to target 4. How this is administered is through a control and manage mechanism through the system that you want to build for that. Okay, and what does the system consist of? It consists of several applications which will talk to each other by moving these leads and moving this traffic around the space to create the funnels that you want, and that the emails in respect of the funnels that are created in form of sequence will be automatically generated for you. So you as a singleton will initially put the copy for emails, do the webinars, do the peripheral activities that are required to be done of creating your websites and this and the other, but then hand it over to the system to manage it for you. But you feed the systems regularly by tweaking things, could be your landing pages, could be your email activities, to keep on creating the funnel that you desire for the digital assets that you put out there. Okay, so this whole system, the entire BAAP system, will get automated for you during the blitzscaling stage, where a complete automation happens and the system could be left alone to manage these things while you're away doing, thinking, strategizing for your next level of activities. Right? That is the purpose behind the BAAP system. Now, if you see the table on the right, it consists of various vendors that can be used for the purpose shown and for the systems that are getting created there. Right? For example, the website that you create. We discussed this previously, but for hosting purposes of buying your domain the way it is, and then creating your documents and the reports, you have various services out there. We mentioned GoDaddy, which is not part of this, but you can choose any of these guys or GoDaddies of the world or the Who's of the world, to do your website hosting activities, website URL, domain choice, and then managing in terms of either you might use application platforms like WordPress, etc., to create your websites. Okay, again, don't get overwhelmed. This will be taught in a practical fashion that how you do these things, okay, and which application uses what to do what. And this is for people who want to do things on their own, which I prefer people doing things on their own because they will learn better and use it to their advantage when they grow. They can also choose it to give it somebody else outside, right, who's a professional in the job and manage it for them while they work on their core expertise. Okay, so but that's a choice to be taken by you. But my input is typically to do it yourself. Right? This is not expensive stuff or not difficult, not rocket science though. Okay, the next one is LMS, right? We discussed some courseware elements. Suppose you're creating a courseware, right? Then the best one is Teachable, has been derived. There are various others, right? There's Karabi and the others. But I think after experimenting with these, I think Teachable turns out to be one of the best ones. Or you can create your own alone platform for managing your content for teaching purposes. Okay. Then for communication, for email marketing and chatbots, you use things like ConvertKit, GetResponse, or ManyChat. I personally use ConvertKit. I like GetResponse also because it uses some of the elements which ConvertKit doesn't. For example, a sales funnel creation is done in GetResponse but not ConvertKit. ConvertKit is more used for email sending and creating landing pages to ensure those things fall in place. Okay. Then the funnel, right? ClickFunnels is known to be one of the best to do this, while there are others out there, right? ClickFunnels is one of the best. Okay? There are cheap ones available, Systemi.io, etc. They give you free of cost and all that, right? But they are just new in the market. They still have to get tested to that extent. But the ones that are mentioned here have been tried and tested. Now, for webinar, one of these systems, I use Zoom. Demio is the other one that one can use, or Webinar Jam, or Ever Webinar. But I use Zoom, so you can feel choose whatever you feel like. For building communities, Mighty Network has been the best. The rest of them is on a phone, which could be WhatsApp or Telegram. Right? All of these can be used collectively. They're all available on the PC or the laptop as well as on your phone systems. So yeah, all these can be then integrated through. The link tracking is basically where somebody chooses to click on your lead magnet or becomes a subscriber to one of your newsletters or your blogs and the other things, right? Click Magic takes it through to the end. It kind of tracks the whole journey of your customer throughout the whole exercise, and you know exactly what is happening as an experience of the customer. You can choose to do that, and this helps in complete automation because the messages passed on there, you will come to know in what level or what direction is your customer going, and then accordingly you make the system react to it. Okay. Then there are payment systems. These are for getting you paid for the services or the assets that you render for people to consume. And then automation, right? Most of these come with an API. An API is an automated programmable interface, right? Which can be simply put through via URLs, and people can and the systems can talk to each other. And when you get a system which is a little much more higher in capabilities than what is shown for complete automation, use Zapier as a single integration, a central hub, for example, which then has various systems connected to it in a hub and spoke model. All right, and that is being used for then complete automation for all the activities that you do. Okay? So with that said, I hope this gives you some sort of clarity of a system, right? All this is all capable of managed by an individual who comes as a novice, can learn it from the scratch and start purposefully putting in place for the digital assets to get automated in its selling activities. All right. So that was the purpose, to let you know and go through this system, and that this system will be discussed in detail during the blitzscaling activities, where some more practicalities will come into play. Okay. On that note, of course, you'll have questions. We can always discuss it through during the inner circle elements, and then we can go through some practical reviews there. I'll take you through the funnels in the subsequent one.